All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on cybersecurity. We're going to look past all the cliches and meet the real people, the real characters behind the attacks that we hear about all the time. Let's jump right in. So, when I say the word hacker, what pops into your head? For most of us, it's something straight out of a movie, right? Some lone wolf in a hoodie just furiously typing away in a dark basement. But you know what? The reality is so much more complex, and honestly, way more interesting than that. That old stereotype just doesn't cut it anymore, so we're going to use a better, more accurate term. And that term is threat actor. It's a simple name for a big idea. It's any person or any group who kicks off an attack. And their goal? Well, it could be anything from stealing your data to changing it, or even just destroying it completely. Look, understanding who these actors are and what makes them tick is absolutely the first step to building any kind of real defense. So let's meet them. We can actually break down these threat actors into a few key types. Each one has their own reasons for doing what they do, their own tools, their own level of skill. Think of it like a cybersecurity villains gallery. First up in our gallery, we've got the anarchist. These guys aren't necessarily evil geniuses. They're usually driven by something simpler, a desire to cause a little trouble, maybe get some attention, or, just to see what happens when they push the big red button. It reminds me of that classic line from The Dark Knight. It just perfectly captures their whole vibe. It's not really about money, it's not about politics, it's just about the thrill of creating chaos. They're basically the digital vandals of our world. Now, what's interesting here is the contradiction. We often call them script kiddies because, well, they don't have the skills to build their own attack tools. They're just downloading and running scripts that other, smarter people made. But, and this is a big but, don't let that low skill level fool you. When these guys get together, they can still cause some serious damage, like knocking a major website offline just for the bragging rights. Okay, next up in the gallery is a totally different kind of character, the crusader. Or, as you've probably heard them called, the hacktivist. This threat actor isn't about chaos. They're driven by a cause. For them, hacking is a form of protest. For the crusader, it is all about the mission. They're fighting for a political or social belief they hold. Their whole goal is to make noise, to draw a ton of attention to something they see as an injustice. Think about the group Anonymous. They're famous for going after big organizations they disagree with, leaking documents, and making a huge public statement. Now we're getting into the big leagues. Our third character is the mob boss. And this isn't about one person. This is about organized cybercrime. We're talking about professional, highly structured groups that operate just like a multinational corporation, except, their entire business is illegal. With these guys, the motivation is dead simple. It's all about the money. And they are incredibly good at making it. These syndicates have different departments, they hire specialists, they develop their own custom software, all to pull off massive attacks like ransomware. Take the Carbonite Group, for example. They didn't just rob a bank. They spent months inside the banking networks, learning the systems, and quietly stole over $1 billion. $1 billion. That's crime on a truly industrial scale. And that brings us to the top of the food chain. The final character in our gallery, the spy. These are the nation-state actors, and they are backed by the full power and the massive budgets of a government. This is the absolute highest level of the game. The motivation here isn't cash or chaos. It's geopolitics. It's about espionage, national security, and gaining a strategic advantage. Their signature move is something called an advanced persistent threat, or APT. This is not a quick smash and grab. This is about quietly getting inside a critical network and then staying there, completely undetected, for months, sometimes even years, just watching and waiting. The most famous example ever? The Stuxnet worm. A piece of malware so insanely sophisticated that it actually crossed from the digital world into the real one to cause physical damage to nuclear equipment. It's just mind-blowing stuff. So, let's do a quick recap here. You've got the anarchist, causing chaos with low-level skills. You've got the crusader, driven by ideology. You've got the mob boss, running a high-tech criminal enterprise for profit. And at the very top, the spy, playing the great game of geopolitics. Each one is a totally different challenge, and each one needs a unique defense. Okay, so now that we know who these attackers are, let's peel back the next layer. Let's look at how they actually attack. To really get it, you need to understand two key ideas from their playbook. First up is the threat vector. Think of this as the how. It's the path an attacker takes to get into a system, like a phishing email or a shady USB drive. Then you have the attack surface. This is the where. It's the grand total of all the possible doors and windows an attacker could try to break through. Every employee laptop, every web server, every open network connection. And here's the tough part. As a defender, you have to protect that entire surface. The attacker, they only need to find one way in. So what do these threat vectors look like in the wild? Well, you've probably seen most of them. They're often designed to exploit basic human trust. We all know about suspicious emails and texts, right? But it could be a perfectly normal-looking image file that's actually infected, a super convincing scam phone call, or even just a USB drive someone accidentally dropped in the company parking lot. Each one is a potential key to the kingdom, and it's usually a person, not a computer, who turns it. So we know who the bad guys are and how they operate, but it's not all doom and gloom. See, cybersecurity isn't just about building higher and higher walls anymore. The smartest defenders are proactive. They're not just waiting to get hit, they're setting their own traps. Let's see how they're turning the tables. Check this out. It's called a honeypot. It's a decoy. It's a computer system that's designed to look real, valuable, and maybe just a little bit vulnerable. It's bait. And when an attacker takes that bait and breaks in, they think they've hit the jackpot. But really, the defenders are safely on the other side of a digital one-way mirror, watching everything they do, learning their entire playbook, what we call their tactics, techniques, and procedures. Now, a single decoy computer is great for catching a lone wolf. But what do you do when you're up against one of those sophisticated organized crime groups, or a nation-state? You need to think bigger. What if you could build them an entire fake world to play in? Well, that's exactly what a honeynet is. You take that honeypot idea and you scale it way up. It's not just one fake computer, it's a whole fake network with fake servers, fake routers, the whole shebang. It's like an elaborate digital playground where defenders can watch the world's best hackers reveal their most secret moves, all inside a safe, controlled sandbox. And the deception can get even smaller, even more clever. Meet the honey file. It's a single, tempting file, maybe a spreadsheet named 2025 executive salaries, or a document titled Project Chimera Blueprints. It looks irresistible, but the second an intruder opens it, bam! A silent alarm is triggered, and the security team knows exactly where they are and what they're after. It's a digital tripwire. So what all this really means is that the game has fundamentally changed. Being good at cybersecurity is no longer just about defense. By using these clever deception technologies like honeypots and honey files, defenders are becoming the hunters. They're actively luring in their opponents to study them, to understand them, and ultimately to beat them. And that leaves us with one last fascinating question to think about. In this new world of digital cat and mouse, who is really hunting whom?